Welcome back to Jamyy English. I'm Jayz.
And I'm Amy. Yesterday, we talked about busyness and time. Today we continue talking about the modern world.
And today's topic is one that almost everyone has an opinion about.
Social media and technology in daily life.
Is social media good for us or bad for us? Does technology connect people or does it pull them apart?
These are questions that come up in English conversation all the time at work, with friends, on dates, at family dinners.
And having simple, clear language for discussing them makes you a much more interesting conversation partner.
Let's start with the basics. What is social media?
Social media are apps and websites where people share content and connect with others. Things like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Most people use at least one of these. Many people use several.
And most people have complicated feelings about them.
I use social media for my design work. I share projects. I follow other designers. I find inspiration. It is genuinely useful for my career.
I use it much less. I have accounts, but I do not post regularly. I check them occasionally and usually feel slightly worse after than before.
That is an honest observation, and it is one many people share.
There is actually research on this. Studies have found that passive use of social media, just scrolling and looking at what others post, can make people feel worse. But active use, posting, commenting, connecting with specific people, can feel more positive.
The distinction between passive and active is useful. Just consuming content is different from actually participating.
Let's talk about the good sides of social media first.
Connection. People who live far from family and friends can stay in touch easily. Grandparents can see photos of grandchildren. Old friends can keep up with each other's lives.
Community. People with specific interests, hobbies, health conditions, life situations can find others like them. This is especially valuable for people who feel isolated in their immediate environment.
Information, news, educational content, how-to videos, language learning resources. An enormous amount of useful content is available freely.
Business and career. Many people have built careers or businesses through social media. It can open doors that were previously closed.
Useful phrases for talking about the positive sides of social media. It helps people stay connected. It gives a voice to people who would not otherwise be heard. It can be a great source of information and learning. It has created communities that did not exist before. For some people, it has opened real opportunities.
Now let's talk about the concerns, and there are real ones.
Comparison. When you scroll through social media, you see carefully chosen images of other people's lives, their best moments, their achievements, their holidays and celebration. It is easy to compare your ordinary daily life to someone else's highlight reel and feel like you are falling short.
There's a phrase for this. Comparison is the thief of joy. It means when you constantly compare yourself to others, you lose the ability to appreciate your own life.
Social media makes comparison extremely easy and extremely constant.
Time. Many people spend much more time on social media than they intend to. The apps are designed to keep you scrolling. It can eat hours that could have been spent on other things.
There's a word for this design: addictive. The apps use techniques from psychology to keep you engaged. Notification, likes, endless new content.
Misinformation. Not everything on social media is true. False information can spread very quickly. It can be hard to know what to believe.
And for young people especially, there are real concerns about the effect of social media on mental health, particularly for teenagers.
Useful phrases for talking about concerns with social media. One worry is that blank. There are real questions about whether blank. Research suggests that blank can be harmful. I think the bigger issue is blank. It is hard to know what is true when blank.
Notice those phrases. They are careful. They say, one worry. There are questions. Research suggests. Not social media is definitely bad.
Because this is a topic where the evidence is mixed and people's experiences are different. Being careful with language shows good thinking.
Now let's look at different opinions, because on this topic, people genuinely disagree.
Some people think social media is mostly harmful, and we should use it much less. They point to studies about mental health, to the spread of misinformation, to the way it distracts people from real life.
Other people think the problem is not social media itself, but how we use it. A knife can be used to cook a meal or to cause harm. The knife is not the problem.
Others focus on who controls these platforms and how they use data. They are concerned about privacy and about corporations having too much power over information.
And many people are simply trying to find a balance, using social media in ways that are useful and enjoyable without letting it take over.
Useful phrases for presenting different views. One view is that blank. On the other hand, some people argue that blank. A third perspective is that blank. The debate is really about blank. People disagree about blank because blank.
These phrases show that you understand a topic has more than one side. That is a very important skill in English conversation.
Especially on social topics. Nobody wants to talk with someone who says, "It is simple." The answer is obviously blank.
Real topics are rarely simple, and acknowledging that is a sign of intelligence.
Now, let's talk about technology more broadly. Not just social media, but the way technology has changed daily life.
Think about how different life is now compared to 20 years ago. Smartphones, GPS navigation, online shopping, video calls, streaming services.
Many of these changes are genuinely helpful. I can video call my family in San Diego from anywhere in the world. I can find directions to any place without getting lost. I can learn almost anything online for free.
And some changes create new challenges. People are reachable at any time. The boundary between work and personal life has become less clear. It is harder to be truly offline.
There is a word for this, always on. It means always connected, always reachable, always potentially available for work or communication.
Being always on is exhausting for many people, and yet stepping away from it feels risky for others, like they might miss something important.
Useful phrases for talking about technology in daily life. Technology has made blank much easier. On the other hand, it has also created blank. I find it hard to blank without technology now. I try to be intentional about how I use technology.
I try to be intentional is a phrase we have heard before this month. It means you make conscious choices rather than just going along with whatever happens.
It is a very useful phrase for any topic where there are habits and choices involved.
Now, let's talk about SAM case specifically, because they are the most personal piece of technology most people have.
Most people in the world now have a smartphone, and most people look at their phone many times a day.
Studies have found that people check their phones on average between 80 and 150 times a day. That is every 6 to 10 minutes while awake.
That number might surprise you, but if you think about it honestly, it might not surprise you at all.
My phone is useful for work. I communicate with clients, I get references, I check emails, but I also find myself picking it up out of habit when I am bored or a little anxious. Not because I need to.
That habit, picking up the phone without a clear reason, is extremely common, and most people are aware of it.
Useful phrases for talking about smartphone habits. I check my phone more than I would like to admit. I have tried to cut back, but it is not easy. I put my phone in another room at night. I noticed I was reaching for it out of habit rather than need. I try to have some time each day that is phone-free.
Notice that most of those phrases are honest about difficulty. More than I would like to admit, it is not easy. That honesty makes you relatable.
Nobody is perfect about this, including us.
Now, let's practice the conversation, Amy. Tell me what you think about social media. I will respond.
I think social media can be genuinely useful for work and connection, but I think most of us use it more than is good for us. I check Instagram sometimes and feel less happy than before I opened it, and yet I still open it.
I completely relate to that. There is something almost compulsive about it. I read once that the apps are designed to trigger the same part of the brain as slot machines you scroll to see what is there. Like pulling a lever, I found the comparison uncomfortable but quite accurate. Do you think it is possible to use it in a healthier way, or do you think stepping back is the only solution?
That is a good question. Jayz gave a full, thoughtful response. He related added information, gave his honest reaction to that information, and then asked a follow-up question.
The structure is the same one we practiced yesterday: react, relate, ask, but now we are applying it to a social topic rather than a personal one.
The language is slightly more formal, but the conversational structure is the same.
Let's review vocabulary for talking about social media positives. Connection, community, information, opportunity gives a voice to, has created spaces for
concerns, comparison, time, misinformation, addictive, mental health, impact, privacy, always on.
For presenting different views. One view is that, on the other hand, a third perspective is the debate is really about people disagree because.
For smartphone habits, check more than I would like. Out of habit rather than need, I have tried to cut back. Phone-free time, put it in another room.
And for being thoughtful about technology, I try to be intentional. I make conscious choices about. I have noticed blank about my own habits. I find it helpful to blame.
Social media and technology are topics that come up in conversation almost every day. Having real specific things to say about them makes you a much more interesting speaker.
Not because you need to have strong opinions, but because you have thought about it and you can discuss it honestly.
That is always the goal.
Thank you for being here today.
We will see you tomorrow on Jamyy English.
Let's also talk about something that connects directly to social media and technology, the way news and information travels now.
20 years ago, most people got their news from a small number of sources: newspapers, television, radio. The information was filtered through editors and journalists.
Now anyone can share any information instantly. This has opened up journalism and given people access to a much wider range of voices.
But it has also meant that false information travels just as fast as true information, sometimes faster.
There is a word for this: misinformation. Information that is wrong, whether the person sharing it knows it is wrong or not.
And disinformation is slightly different. It means information that is deliberately false. Someone is sharing it knowing it is not true with the intention of misleading people.
These are useful words to know in English conversation. They come up often when people talk about social media and news.
Useful phrases for talking about information and news online. It is hard to know what to trust these days. I try to check several sources before believing something. Not everything you read online is accurate. I think media literacy is an important skill now. It is easy to share something without knowing if it is true.
Media literacy is an important phrase. It means the ability to understand, evaluate, and think critically about information from media sources.
A person with good media literacy does not just accept everything they read. They ask questions. Who wrote this? Why? What is the source? Is this verified?
These are skills that were always useful, but are especially important now.
Now, let's think about younger generations and technology, because how young people use technology is a topic many adults have strong feelings about.
Children and teenagers today have grown up with STEM codes and social media. It is simply part of their world in a way it was not for people who grew up even 15 years ago.
Some adults worry about this. They feel that too much screen time is harmful for young people's development, that they are missing experiences, social skills, time outdoors.
Others point out that young people are also doing amazing things with technology, creating content, learning skills, connecting globally, advocating for causes.
The reality is probably somewhere in the middle, as with most things.
Useful phrases for this part of the conversation. Young people today have grown up with technology in a way that is very different from previous generations. There are real concerns about blank for children and teenagers. At the same time, young people are also doing blank with technology. I think the key question is blank.
The research is still developing, is a very honest and accurate thing to say on this topic. We do not yet have complete answers about the long-term effects of growing up with social media.
And admitting that we do not have complete answers is more honest than pretending we do.
Now, let's look at some positive uses of technology that people do not always talk about enough.
Activity technology has opened up the world for people with disabilities, screen readers for people who cannot see, captioning for people who cannot hear, communication tools for people who have difficulty speaking.
Education, people in remote areas, people who cannot afford traditional education, people who learn differently. Technology has made learning available in new ways for all of these groups.
Health. People can now monitor their health, connect with doctors remotely, find information about conditions and treatments. This is especially important in places where healthcare is difficult to access.
These are real and important benefits, and they are worth mentioning when the conversation about technology focuses only on problems.
Useful phrases for talking about technology's positive social impact. One area where technology has made a real difference is blank. For people who blank, technology has been genuinely It has increased access to blank in ways that were not possible before.
Now let's practice something specific. How do you answer the question, what do you think about social media, in a way that is interesting and balanced?
Here is my full answer. I think it is genuinely useful for certain things, staying connected with people who are far away, finding communities around shared interests, accessing information, but I am also aware that I use it in ways that do not always make me feel good. I pick up my phone out of habit. I scroll without a clear purpose.
That answer is honest, balanced, personal, and specific. It has a point of view without being preachy. It acknowledges complexity without being vague.
And it is at woe to bone level English, simple vocabulary, clear sentences, no complicated grammar.
The content is thoughtful. The language does not have to be complex.
That is one of the most important things to remember about discussing social topics in English. You do not need difficult words to have a real conversation.
You need honest ideas and some key phrases to express them.
Let's add a few more vocabulary items for digital habits. Scroll, post, share, comment. Like follow, unfollow, mute, block, log off, be online, be offline.
For talking about information, quality, accurate, reliable, verified, misleading, false, biased, one-sided, fact-checked, trustworthy.
For talking about technology's role in society, access, connection, community, privacy, data, platform, algorithm, screen time, digital detox.
Digital detox is a phrase worth knowing. It means deliberately stepping away from technology for a period of time. A weekend without your phone, for example.
People increasingly talk about doing this when they feel they need a break from the constant connection.
Useful phrases for talking about your own relationship with technology. I have a complicated relationship with my phone. I find it hard to fully switch off. I have tried a digital detox and found it blank. I try to have some technology, free time each day. I think I use it in mostly positive ways, but I am aware of blank.
These phrases are honest and self-aware, and they invite the other person to share their own experience.
Which is always the goal in conversation.
Technology and social media are part of almost everyone's life. Now being able to talk about them thoughtfully in English with balance and honesty is a skill you will use constantly.
Your challenge today: the next time someone asks you about social media or your phone habits, try to give a full answer. Not just "I use it" or "I do not like it," something more specific and honest.
Use the phrases from today. React, reflect, relate.
Thank you for being here.
We will see you tomorrow on Jamyy English.